got a new project. So this is a 2019 Can-Am Commander 800R. Obviously it's well used. We got some cracks here. The seat's pretty worn. Tires are in good shape. It's got a little tailgate here. Came with a back windscreen. It's also got a nice little sunroof here. It's all clear. A nice rear view mirror there. Pretty big and wide. It does have a tilt feature here. You can see the shocks a lot better here. So Bandit level 4. It's also got a bottom tailgate here. Came with these, I believe these are Super ATV doors maybe? I don't know too much about side-by-side. It did come with these Super ATV door pockets. It came with a windshield as well, and this, I assume this is aftermarket. It's got windshield wipers, they're manual. So you just have this little lever here, and you kind of roll them by with your hand, obviously. It's also got this cover here, it's like a heat shield. Since the engine is right here, which we'll get to that here in a sec. Definitely different than the first side-by-side. If you guys haven't watched that video, be sure to check it out. I bought a little like Yamaha Rhino clone type side-by-side. That one had overheating issues and we were able to get that figured out and it's running great. We still have it here at the property. So the story on this is it overheats. Originally they had told me it had just had a small coolant leak they couldn't find. Then they ended up admitting that this thing overheated, probably head gaskets. So I saw when they were pulling it out of their trailer, it started skipping real bad. So I thought maybe it's something to do with the transmission or the differentials, but I think it has something to do with the belt. It's got beadlock wheels, quite a few little aftermarket things that don't normally come on these. Here, we'll fire it up real quick and I'll show you guys. I'll show you guys when I back up, see if you can see the skipping. So this thing sounds good, it fires right up, no white smoke at the tailpipe. It does have an aftermarket exhaust, which sounds pretty good. Nothing obvious. I wonder if it's just low in coolant. Man, that'd be awesome if we got that lucky. I really haven't dug into this at all, so we're about to do that now. I think for these, you have to take out the seat, take this off, obviously, and remove some clips, and then we can get access to the engine through here. So the other thing I was told was that the gear linkage was loose, and it's happened a couple times where I try to get it into gear to move it, and it just grinds, and so it's not selecting the gears correctly. So we'll have to look into that as well. This valve cover isn't too bad. This one on this side is the one that's leaking a bit right there. I don't see any coolant leaks. There's our filter. Oh, it is an actual K&N. It's filthy in there. Oh, wow. Look at that. I'm surprised this thing was running well at all. Yeah, we'll clean all in here too. Vacuum all that out. Oh, I don't know if you guys can see that, but copper seal. We do have some LEDs right here that I don't know how to turn on. Take this seat out. See if we have any access to anything over there. This did come with a little toolkit. I guess that is pretty worn. You can see right there, it's chewed up. Oh, got a big little chunk missing out of there. All right, so here's the other belt. Okay, so shift linkage seems to be working fine. I can hear it going into gear just fine. And before it sounded kind of sloppy and loose. I wonder if this had anything to do with it. We will be getting a new valve cover at some point. And depending on how bad either of these heads are, we'll check them for square. If they're off, we'll send them off to get flattened out just to make sure everything's good. We'll check the block as well. We could actually take this head off too, or this little centerpiece of the head. I'm not really sure what they call that. I guess we'll check that for flatness as well. And if it's good, then we're good. Once we get the gaskets, throw this thing back together. So let's go ahead and get to tearing this thing apart. So we'll start removing the valve covers, just kind of getting all this out of the way. All right. Wow, look how filthy that is though. I mean, you guys saw the air intake. That thing was pretty bad. Okay. Wow, look at that throttle body. Jeez, I'm surprised this thing ran as well as it did. This looks actually pretty good. So usually when they get really hot, those plastic guides get destroyed. And those actually look like they're in great shape. These Can-Ams might have some type of safety thing where it shuts off before that happens, but I don't know. So that's really good. I guess let's take a look at this other side. Yeah, these guides are in perfect shape. This thing, everything looks good on it. So we lucked out. It's caked in mud. I thought that was part of the frame. This is just all mud. All right, now we got some good access. So I'm pretty sure this is where we need to be. we did get some parts in. So we'll unbox these real quick here. So I've got an oil change kit. Came with a filter. So yeah, you've got your little oil filter, 3 things of oil, O-ring, crush washer. So it's been like 2 weeks. This is the cam lock, I believe. And then the other one is locks the flywheel. But the other thing, I've been waiting for 2 weeks and it's still, I think it got lost in the mail. So I'm gonna message them today. So we've got that. I think this is the thermostats. So the ones that come on here are plastic, both of them. There's the other one right there. And the new ones we got are aluminum. This here. This is the gaskets that I got. These are our temp sensors. So there's that. Our last seat cushion was trashed on the driver's side, so we're gonna replace it with this one. We got this in time, so you can tell here we've got both those lines are parallel. You guys can see a number 1 there. That means that this cylinder is in time. That one is not. We can take this one apart and then we'll rotate and get the other cylinder in time. Let's go ahead and rip that head off real quick. I started off by removing the thermostat. I was using a vacuum there to clean up all that excess coolant just so I didn't make a mess. After that, there's just 4 bolts holding on the intake pipe. Then I moved on to the cam gear. Once I got the cam gear off, I was able to fish this metal wire through here just to hold the cam chain from falling. There's only 6 bolts holding on the head, and once you remove those, you can pop the head right off. So this is your coolant passages around the cylinder head, and here's the head gasket here, which is baked off of there. We'll check this for square, and then we'll check the head here. Yeah, so this thing was leaking like crazy. You can see here, these are the new gaskets. Everything is black, and check this out. The thing is just completely hammered. So hopefully that didn't affect the head and warp it too much. We're gonna go ahead and clean all this off real quick. All right, let's check this thing real quick. So here's my little straight edge. All right, we're gonna check this thing for square. So this is pretty small. So here I ended up doing multiple X patterns, just trying to see if there was any gap or anything, any type of bowing in the head, and everything was completely flat, no matter which way I checked. That's freaking sweet. All right, I got this other section out. We've got that seal underneath. So let's check this thing for square as well. Same thing here, we're gonna use our smallest feeler gauge. And this piston sleeve was more of the same, multiple X patterns, just trying to make sure nothing was bowed. Yeah, these are good. All right, I'll get this one cleaned up as well. All right, both of these are really clean now. I was looking at the head, there's no good spot to tap it. I think what we're gonna end up doing is we're gonna split it. So we'll put it in between both heads. We can install that digital readout, and I think that should be fine. So we don't need to, we'll return one of them and just do the one, and we can use this so we won't be tapping anything. I guess next thing to do is get these heads ready. I'm gonna get this surface cleaned up a little bit here, and then we'll throw that back on there. If you're wondering, I did clean this off, and then I vacuumed out all those holes because there was coolant in them. I just put a little bit of oil around here to get it to slide down, and then a little bit inside the bore here. There we go. It's fed through here. Over here. There we go. And then I didn't show you, but I also replaced the exhaust seal on here, this thing. So I pulled it out and put the new one that came with the kit in here. All right, so I got the torque specs. So first one is 20 Newton meter, and then the next is 180 degrees. All right, so 180 degrees now. All right, there's 181. It says plus or minus 5 degrees. These are just 10 Newton meters. So this is our cam lock here. And here we're just looking to make these lines parallel at the bottom of the head there. I think I'm gonna put a little bit of Loctite on these. Got that. Now we gotta throw the tensioner in there. We are in time. So let's go ahead and spin it around. Make sure we did everything right. Yep. Number 1. All right, so now we're gonna get number 2 in time. So I got the heads off, and these are, look at that. I mean, completely gone. All this baked on here, but completely destroyed on both sides. The bottom gasket looks all right. This gasket here looks pretty good. You can see all that copper seal right there in the corner. That's where it went. And so it didn't seal anything, obviously, on the head gasket. It just settled all the way at the bottom. We'll clean all that up, but this gasket looks pretty good. We're gonna replace it, obviously. We'll check both of them for flat real quick. And we're gonna go again with our smallest, which is 0.04 mil. Awesome, completely flat there. So let's try this real quick. This whole thing is completely flat. We're good to throw this back together. Just got everything back together. Everything's in time. I just rotated the engine, double checked this cylinder, which is cylinder 1, and this is cylinder 2. Everything's in time here. So we're good to go there. I've got valve cover gaskets. There's one valve cover. And here's valve cover number 2 with the new gasket. I totally forgot to check. So the whole reason we had to do all this was because it overheated, and I forgot to check why, because we don't know. All I was told there at the end, once they admitted it overheated, was that it was overheating. I did take off the water pump cover here, and I spun this around. Everything's spinning. All the blades are intact. Nothing out of the ordinary there. The only thing I can think of is maybe it was leaking coolant. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it just got some air bubbles in there, and that's what caused it to overheat. Got the little sensor there. Got this thing in. Got some pretty beefy clamps. The ones that came with it were too small, so these are nice and tight. They're big, but that's gonna work out perfect because we can tie it here, and we shouldn't need to extend any of the wiring or anything. So I was able to get the rock lights to work. I'll show you real quick. There's an app, so you can actually change the color. So this is the app here, and it'll let you select strobe light. See, there's green. Pretty cool, huh? So there's that, and they all work. I just want to wire it up to the button that came with it. It's not working right now, so this is it. The contacts weren't working too well. When you push it down, it wouldn't actually contact. So I'm gonna mess with this, see if I can get this to work. Sweet, we got the button to work. So I'll put this in, I'll solder it back in, and then we've got the rock lights, and then we can start throwing this back together. Install here was just a reversal removal. It was pretty straightforward. I was able to get the air intake and the throttle body really clean. From there we moved on to the gas tank, hooked up all the lines, the connector, and then I did want to do an oil change on it since we did get quite a bit of coolant in the pan when we removed the heads. And from there I think we were ready for coolant. I've got the sensor wired in just temporarily for now. I'm gonna fill it up with coolant real quick and then we'll start it. All right, I think we're good for first fire. Everything sounds pretty good. So here I was just going around touching all the hoses to see if there was any heat to them. At this point, everything was still pretty cold. I had to do multiple cycles of on and off. You could see the temp sensor here. It got up to like 212. And once I shut it off and let it kind of suck up all the coolant, it finally cooled all the way down and we were ready to go take it out for a spin. Yeah, I'm excited to go rip on it. Let's, I'm gonna start throwing all this back together and then we'll go out to the back and go rip on it for a bit. She's back together. I haven't put the cover here on, but I did get all the plastics back on, the chairs back on. I got a new cushion, so I want to grab that. Get on there. Look at that. So much better. Chair in there. I could see why this gets destroyed. I literally just like put all my weight right on here just to get out. So that probably isn't gonna stay nice forever. As soon as you turn it on, it's wired up to ignition. You got your temp right there. And that's easily visible from here. Got our rock lights right there. So here's what it looks like at night. That looks pretty cool. I actually really like it. I wish the lights were white, not that teal blue. I think white would look pretty cool on there. I think we're good to take it out. Pretty quick. It's kind of loud, obviously, with the exhaust. Let's see if we can get on it here. Just got back. I tried holding the camera, but it was too hard to actually drive, so I used some of the drone footage. But as you guys saw, it runs great. I guess that's it. On to the next project. Thanks for watching. Subscribe.